Alright, hi. It's Jacqueline. Bit slow on the uptake with using YouTube and whatever. Only just figured out that you can use Photo Booth to record. Yeah, so I figured I'd start by doing the what's it called again? The regional dialect meme. Some things before I start. First of all, my accent isn't entirely typical of a Melbourne accent. I grew up in Sydney, or just outside Sydney, and also I have DiGeorge Syndrome, which means that my speech in general isn't as good as it could be. So some of the words, when I say them, aren't going to be typical of the Melbourne accent. Not that there really is a Melbourne accent. In Australia, accents tend to be more tied to class than to geography. There's three main ones. There's the really broad Steve Irwin type accent, which is typically associated with either people who live in rural areas or lower classes. There's the accent I use, which is the most common form of accent in Australia. And it's typical of the working middle classes, even most of the upper classes have this accent or variation of. And then there's the received pronunciation accent, very similar to Queen's English. Geoffrey Rush and Kate Blanchett are people who use this accent. When it comes to regional dialects, it tends to be more of a pronunciation difference than an accent difference. For example, the word castle, as in C-A-S-T-L-E, people from New South Wales pronounce it as castle, and I tend to. However, the Victorian pronunciation is castle. And there's a couple of other things like that. And also regional differences tend to occur in what we call things. So, for example, a swimming outfit. Victoria, togs is common. I would call it a cosy. Swimming costume or swimmers are kind of universally accepted in Australia. So anyway, here goes. I'll start with the words, which are aunt, root, wash, oil, theatre, iron, salmon, caramel, fire, water, shore, data, ruin, crown, toilet, New Orleans, pecan, both, again, probably, spitting image, Alabama, lawyer, coupon, mayonnaise, syrup, pyjamas, and court. Now the questions. What is it called when you throw toilet paper on a house? Well, that's not really a done thing in Australia as far as pranks are concerned. But most Australians have watched enough American television, I certainly have, to know that it's called TPing. What is the bug called that when you touch it, it curls into a ball? Slater. I wasn't entirely sure on that one. We don't really have them in Australia that much. What is the bubbly carbonated drink called? This again is one of those things that is very much a regional thing in Australia. Little kids in general tend to call it fizzy drink. I would call it soft drink. A lot of my adult friends in Melbourne still call it fizzy drink. Soda, as a general rule, is used to refer to soda water, which is carbonated mineral water, without any kind of sugar or flavouring. What do you call gym shoes? This is another interchangeable one in terms of the fact that even I don't have a standardised word that I'd use. Call them joggers, runners, trainers, sneakers, all interchangeably, depending on context and depending on who I'm talking to. Usually I pick up on the word they use and use it in conversation with them. What do you say to address a group of people? Not entirely sure what's meant by this. I assume, like, if you walked up to a group of people that you're friends with, that's what it's referring to, in which case it's kind of like, hiya, or hi, or hey guys, like, you know, anything like that. There's, again, not really kind of standardised terminology. What do you call the kind of spider that has an oval-shaped body and extremely long legs? That would be a daddy longlegs, and if it is to be believed, they are the most deadly spider on Earth. Luckily for us, they can't actually bite through human skin. Although I have heard urban legends that they can bite through eyelids, which are quite significantly thinner than most human skin, and that used to scare me quite a bit when I was a child. What do you call your grandparents? This, again, depends on context. If I'm with one set of my grandparents, I call them Nan and Pop. And that counts for both my father and my mother's parents. However, if it's Christmas or whatever and there's a big family gathering and everyone's there, I'll refer to them as Nana Shirl or Nana Shirley, Nana Nell, Poppy Jack, and Poppy Frank. Don't really know why add the longer version when you're referring to them by name. It just sounds better. What do you call the wheeled contraption in which you carry groceries at the supermarket? That would be a trolley. Or a shopping trolley. What do you call it when it rains while the sun is shining? That is a sun shower. And what is the thing called that you change the TV channel with? That is a remote control, or occasionally channel changer. I've noticed a lot of people in Melbourne use that, so I've kind of picked up on it over time. I've lived here 5 years this month, so it has kind of begun to influence my language living here. So yeah. Well, that's all the questions. I actually had a fair bit of fun doing this, and my hair looks okay, which is amazing. Yeah, so I'll post it to Tumblr and Facebook and YouTube and try and do one of these about once a week. Alright, bye for now.